Hey, good morning. Welcome back to Morning Live. We now take a look at your sports news in this hour. Now, the Bulls have paved the way in South African rugby by awarding professional contracts to their women's team, the Bulls Daises. Now, the 35-member squad will be contracted until 2025. And to help us talk about this, we've roped in the captain of the team, Lusanda Dumke, as well as team Dr. Sbu Ntuli. Good morning, Lusanda. Good morning, Dr. Sbu. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Morning. Thank you for having us.
Good nervous. Dr. Ntuli, let me start with you. I think a lot of people cannot begin to imagine the significance of giving these women these professional contracts, because what it does for them is that it aids them professionally with them having more access to more professionals like the likes of yourselves. I mean, other teams like Border that you played last week don't have this. What does this mean in terms of the players and what they can now focus on?
Yeah, I mean, this is a big step. It's a huge step in terms of sport. You must think, if players are getting injured on a daily, where they would normally take about 10 weeks to get healed or to see a doctor or to see whatever, if a player gets injured today, they get seen today, they get a scan today, they get rehab. Within the current professional setup that they have at the Bulls, it means that a player is being seen by a sports physician, by the physiotherapists, and all the necessary treatment is done quickly. So there's never a point where you're missing an injury or a player is now suffering a long-term injury because you went and missed it. So the current setup that they have is actually one of the best things that could have ever happened to women's rugby. It's impressive, I must say.
Impressive, we must say. Firstly, Lusanda, congratulations on becoming the captain of the team.
Thank you.
Let's talk about what this means for you as a player. You've been a champion in South Africa twice now. You've got so many accolades. You were the Eastern Cape Sports Woman, Sports Star of the Year. And even with those accolades, just financially, things were not coming together. So what does this now mean for you to have this professional contract, which gives you some comfort for a couple of years?
It really means a lot for me as an individual, and also, most importantly, it means a lot for women's rugby in South Africa. I don't think we have ever had hope that things can change in terms of provincial rugby when it comes to women, but the hope that was given by the Bulls company was a lot, and it means that we are really growing as women's rugby, and I think there's still a lot to come, especially with other provinces. And now that I think it's going to be a wake-up call for them to actually do the same and give contract to women's rugby.
And just speaking about the difference it makes for you, when you were nominated and you won as the Eastern Cape Sports Star of the Year, you were awarded a car. But you took the decision to put your family first. And it speaks to the fact that financially, you just didn't have that comfort. Talk us through that decision that you made at the time and why you decided to put your family first.
So I've been, ever since I moved to East London, which was 2009, after my mom passed away, we've been staying in informal settlements at home. So I've decided that now that I got an award and then I was awarded a car, I don't think car was a necessity at that time. So I thought, let me just give this away and get a house instead, even if it means adding to that. So I just wanted a house because it is a priority.
And that's amazing, Lusanda. Well done to you, because a car was just going to be a luxury, but a home was something that was more important. Dr. Sbu, let me come back to you. In terms of just now what the setup is going to look like, I want us to speak to perhaps just in terms of sports stars, whether it's sportsmen or sportswomen, always being told that you are in charge of your own welfare in terms of physically what you put into your body. We've seen players say, I didn't know that I was taking in something that is against the doping rules or anything of that sort. But in terms of that knowledge, how would you say the difference is between the amateur ranks versus professional, and what this will now mean for the Bulls Daises in having you in their setup?
So more often than not, players think that what they can afford to eat, so the things that they eat on a daily, are the healthy things. And you find that especially with rugby players, they think that big means strong. And the convenience now becomes you've roped in dietitians to say, instead of eating 1, 2, 3, rather have your proteins, rather have, and you must also remember, female nutritional needs are not the same as men. And our female athletes have always been dependent on what the men do, then they'll do it as well. Whereas now that they've got their own dietitian, their own people that are focused on their health, it's easy to say, okay, do not eat this as a female because you're going to store fat in this area.
Yes.
Eat this if you want to build muscle. And they've got that. They've got that on WhatsApp. They've got that on phone call. It's within their grasp now. As well, with in terms of supplements, they get talks given to them even on a weekly to say, all right, this is what you can and can't take. Also, download this app, Drug-Free Sport, do this so that you know which drugs are not supposed to be taken to your system. Benefit for them as well is when they come to the medical side at the Bulls, we already know all the drugs. So, for instance, we'll never keep drugs for them that are against anti-doping rules.
Yeah.
So they've guaranteed that whatever I ask doc for, whatever I ask the physiotherapist for, and I put into my body, it's definitely going to help instead of hurt me. So it's going to go a long way right now, I must say.
And let's just maybe understand, are the facilities from a medical point of view that the Bulls Daises are going to have now exactly the same as what's made available to the men?
Yeah, so as it stands right now, they are the professionals. They are the first team of the females. So they're the first team.
Look at that smile on Lusanda's face when you say
so
that.
If they're the first team, they need to get first team treatment.
Yeah.
And the facilities they have are amazing. They wake up rugby, morning rugby, afternoon rugby, evening rugby. They've got a sports conditioning coach that helps them on a daily. So every single thing that is made, every single professional that has been made available to the men's team has now been made available to them as well.
Team.
So it's working out. It's working out great.
Absolutely amazing. Lusanda, just as I wrap up with you, you've seen now what this is going to do for the Bulls Daisies. What would you say you'd like to see moving into the national team setup? Because there's some people you're playing with in the national team that don't have this.
Now the hope is just that they get the same. That's the main thing. I mean, they're working as hard as we're working, and they deserve anything. So I think the most importantly now is for them to get the same, and because there's no point we're all in the same environment, and then we don't get competition, because that's what we need at the end of the day. So I think that's the most important thing.
Thank you so much, Lusanda, as well as Dr. Sbu Ntuli. Of course, Lusanda Dumke, the captain of the Bulls Daisies, and Dr. Sbu Ntuli, who is the team doctor for the Bulls. And basically, the Bulls giving 35 professional contracts to their women's team, and that will really go a long way in aiding them.